goes to court here. Is there a clock or not? Greg, we talk about the clock all the time. If he began in 2019, the clock should have run out, whether he's played the 4 years or not. And that's part of the argument because some guys go right through the clock, right? TJ Finley, we've mentioned many times on this show. 7th team coming up this year. He's playing for Incarnate Word. He's played 7 seasons at 7 different schools. Now, why hasn't his clock started? Why doesn't he have the 5-year clock? So if you're Aguilar, I get it.
He just bouncing him off the ropes. Somebody save this man. Oh, my Lord. Oh. Very nice, very nice. He hit him with everything he didn't want.
Ten seconds remaining.
Going to be a direct snap here.
Snap back. It's Tyler. Tyler fakes the run. He throws. He's got an open man. Pass top 10. 5. End zone. It's a touchdown. Pulled in by Nestor. 3 seconds left.
Are you kidding me with the play call right there by Kevin Whiteman? Again, forget the game-winning field goal. Whiteman says, we're going to try and win this thing right now. The direct snap to Tyler sucked everybody up. And Nestor slips behind. What an unbelievable gutsy play call and then perfect execution by these Falcons.
Things aren't always going to be great. And sometimes, you can work really, really hard and it's still not great. You're still not successful. But, if you continue to do it, one way or another, things are going to be work out. You're going to be successful. And it may not be in the world's eyes, but, God's made us this way. He's blessed us with so many things. And I think that's one of our attributes that we need to have is we're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to work hard. And if it doesn't work out exactly how we want, just keep plugging away because God's got better plans.
Five, 3, 1.
Red 57, Red 57, hot, hot.
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie hits a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened-to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
Hi, everyone, and good evening. We welcome you into the CityNet Statewide Sportsline Friday edition. It's March 13th, 2026, and we're glad you're with us. However, you may be listening or watching the show. Glad you're spending some time with us tonight. Coach Hunter is here alongside. Greg, good evening to you.
Good evening, Brad. A little bit of normality as we're back in our normal studio. You have returned.
Back in the seat. Wish I wasn't here, to be honest with you, Greg. Wish I was checking in with you from Kansas City, but alas, we are back and we are ready to go, and we've got a lot of stuff to get into, including Kansas City. 2 big games coming up this evening. The semifinals of the Big 12 tournament are here, kind of a mini Final Four, so to speak. Kansas probably not quite in that class, but the other 3 are certainly Final Four and national championship contenders. So we'll talk about the Big 12 tournament. We'll also get into, because everybody else has this week, not just the games, we have to talk about the floor that everybody made a giant story. the Big 12 and Commissioner Brett Yorbark making really what I thought was a surprising move late last night, and we'll get into all of that coming up here in just a few minutes. What's next for the West Virginia basketball team? Is the season over? Will it continue? A move in the Big 12 coaching ranks today may lead us down one road there to still playing some games. We'll talk about what that means coming up here in just a bit. Baseball team on the road today? Are they at Baylor?
They are
we
at
open
Baylor
Big 12?
Later this evening at Baylor. First of a 3-game set is they open Big 12 play.
Yeah, that's off and running. That got snuck up fast, or at least for me it did. But we'll get into that a little bit as well. We've got football to talk about. No spring practice. It's on pause right now while the guys are enjoying spring break. They'll be off next week as well, Greg. But there is commitment news for the Mountaineer football program, and we'll get into that here in just a bit. Greg has a full breakdown on the latest. Speaking of commitment news, Miles Sadler, 5-star point guard out of Arizona. Have yourself a day, young fella. We'll talk about what Miles Sadler did today in a big game. So we'll get into some recruiting coming up here in just a bit. Girls State Tournament continues from Charleston. Kyle is on site along with 19,000 other people from our company. So we'll check in with Kyle and get an update on what has been a busy day already at the Charleston Coliseum, and we'll continue into this evening. Your alma mater playing tonight. Morgantown High girls will take the floor coming up at 9 p.m. Kyle will give us an update on everything that's going on from Charleston. Text line is open, 304-8255-304. That's 304-TALK-304. We'd love to hear from you. Big 12 basketball, Miles Sadler, football, any of it, we'll take it, and we'll get into that coming up.
We would be remiss not to say that the Mountaineer women's basketball team will find out part of its fate tomorrow, about 3:15. Eastern time, okay. Yes. There will either be explosions or size of, thank goodness that West Virginia has an opportunity to host. NCAA won't reveal the brackets, the complete bracket for the women's tournament until Sunday night, but they will reveal the 16 host institutions tomorrow in alphabetical order. So it's not even in any kind of 1 through 16 order. West Virginia, I think, fully expects to be among those 16, but Brad, we've been jaded with disappointment before.
We have to say, I would be absolutely floored, but I sat here 1 year ago today, or 1 year ago, 2 days from now, and was absolutely floored at the decision of the NCAA committee. So God knows what goes on in those rooms. Who knows what they're talking about? I cannot for the life of me imagine that this West Virginia team isn't hosting, and we don't find that out tomorrow. But you're right. We'll see. We'll still knock on wood. They deserve to host. They should host. It would be a blast. That goes back to 1992, right? Last time there was an NCAA tournament game here at the Coliseum. So I think that would just be fantastic. And obviously I'm not breaking news when I say that. That would be really neat to see if Mark Kellogg's able to slide his team into that top 16 and get a couple of games here. Never mind the competitive advantage that it should create for you. Just the coolness of it would be awesome, but the competitive advantage is a real thing. You get that thing at home, I can't imagine that won't be a 10, 11, 12, 13,000 crowd. Wouldn't surprise me if it happened to sell out, which I know is a lot of tickets, but those days fall right. That could be a really fun event here in Morgantown.
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine right now what the atmosphere ultimately will be like and what the total crowd will be like. I was there in 1992. I remember that one. That was a great atmosphere when West Virginia played Clemson, and it was a different model of the tournament. There weren't as many teams, so you didn't need to win 2 games to get to the Sweet 16. That win over Clemson got West Virginia to the Sweet 16. They ended up going to Virginia, getting beat the next time through. But that's the last time this Mountaineer program has been to the Sweet 16 on the women's side. And I mean, I think you could really make a huge argument. It's because they constantly have had to go on the road.
Yeah.
For each of those times, they've been to the NCAA tournament a ton, but haven't gotten to the Sweet 16 since because they're always having to go to somebody else's home court. So this opportunity, just for the atmosphere, as you said, would be neat. And then hopefully, potentially, because of that home court advantage, the opportunity to then move on to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 34 years.
Yeah, certainly would. No lock, but it would certainly be an advantage to play at home rather than hitting the road on someone else's home court. All right, let's talk about Big 12 men here for a second. Semifinals coming up tonight. First up, 7 o'clock Eastern time from T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. Iowa State, Arizona. That's a doozy coming in there. And so it's Iowa State. That building is going to be packed with Cardinal and gold. We saw Iowa State fans all over the place. Greg, you've been out there. Iowa State fills that thing up. So it'll certainly be a quasi-home game, speaking of that, for Iowa State going against what I think is the best team in the country. One of the top couple, if not the best. I personally think they're the best team. That should be a doozy of a game in the first one. And then coming up in the second one, you'll have a good contingent of Kansas fans there taking on a Houston team that I think is also Final Four worthy.
Yeah, should be good. That first game, I mean, Arizona, as you said, incredibly impressed by what they do. But I've thought throughout this tournament, Iowa State's played as well as anybody out there. I mean, they're just smashing people. So I give them a ton of credit for how they've played. And if anybody has the momentum to beat Arizona right now, it may be Iowa State at this moment. So should be two good games this evening, and then a really good championship game with however that comes out.
Now,
can Iowa State beat Arizona?
They did get an Arizona State team there that had already won one game, and Bobby Hurley already knew he was on the way out the door. So you got an advantage there. Then they get a Texas Tech team with no JT Toppin. So they did benefit from their path so far.
Sure.
Can they beat Arizona? Yeah, I think they can beat them. It'll be a real challenge, but again, it's going to be a quasi home game there. So that'll be if
Hilton
they play
South, as they call it.
Yeah, if they play, I think Arizona's really good. They got a bunch of options. We'll see how that goes this evening. That comes up starting again 7 o'clock Eastern time. But as I mentioned earlier, the story coming out of the Big 12 is the removal of the glass floor. The announcement last night, and Greg, is a couple things and a bunch of angles on this. This became a topic of conversation, and quite frankly, probably too much of a topic of conversation. One of those things that takes on a life of its own. It goes crazy on Twitter, and then suddenly it feels like that's the only thing being talked about. And Commissioner Brett Yormark and the Big 12 said, all right, fine, we're making a change. We're taking it out. We're putting a traditional wood floor in there for the semifinals. And so there's a lot of things to talk about. Number one, I thought the floor was really cool. I was on the floor, stepped on the floor, walked on the floor, talked to the guy that's in charge of the floor for the company, either the owner or the sales guy. I couldn't figure out which, Greg. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool. It was described to me, and I sat there and watched 3 of the 4 games live on Tuesday, and then obviously was on the court for West Virginia's game. The slippage seems like the wrong term to me. I didn't see a ton of guys slipping. There were a few. It was described to me by someone close to the situation. They said a better description would have been like playing on a dusty floor where you do kind of slide a little bit. And it was more prevalent with the guards than with the bigs. So you saw those guys that were making harder cuts and angles rather than the bigs that weren't necessarily having to do that. You did see some slippage, there's no doubt. But, man, that story took on a life of its own, and it was all that anybody seemed to be talking about. And the commissioner reacted, and I give him credit. Crisis communication PR number 1, or page 1 of the manual, says remove the story, right? Get rid of the story. Get a diversion, get something else, get the story off the front page. They did and reacted in real time and got that floor up and put a wood floor down, and it'll be in use tonight.
You know me, I'm about as conservative in terms of new school stuff, uniforms, whatever, as anyone. Don't like new stuff, but I actually like the look of the floor a great deal. I mean, it was very unique. Though, I mean, unique for the college game. This is not something that had never been done before.
Pros are using, NBA's used it multiple times. It's being used over in 2 leagues in Europe. And I was told directly, high-level multiple meetings have taken place with major college programs, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone has one in place next year. Now, maybe this slows it down. Maybe some bad PR slows it down a little bit, but it's coming, and it's coming fast, and these are going to be in use really soon.
So, again, you're in the building for a bunch of games. It was courtside for the West Virginia game. People slip on the basketball court all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Did Toby O'Connie slip under the basket at Baylor because they didn't wipe that spot up and it cost us a game? Did that happen on a wood floor?
Any more, in your opinion, than a typical floor?
I don't know. It didn't seem it to me. I mean, again, there were some guys sliding. I could see the sliding. That's why I think that was a good description. I can see that, but it's been engineered to have that stuff out of it. So I don't know. We'll see. I could buy the argument. You could get me behind the argument that it was probably too high profile and too important of an event to try and unveil it. I get the innovative nature of it. And you know me, I'm the opposite end of the spectrum of you.
You love
I
those
like
things.
that stuff. And the floor was awesome. I mean, just the graphics were tremendous. And the feel of it does have a little give to it in the floor. That was described to me as intentional in order to be less of a pounding on your knees and your ankles and your hips. So there was that taken into. This isn't like they just took an iPad screen and put it down there and said, hey, let's go play. The NBA's part owner of the company that has this. I mean, this is significantly millions and millions of dollars of research into this. So again, it's coming soon. It's not a matter of if, just when. And it's going to be sooner rather than later. I just found it interesting that in the middle of the tournament, they were able to get it out last night and get a new wood floor in. I wonder if there were contingency plans for this just in case. You know, you're going through 2 weeks of it, women's and men's. It seems to me that there must have been a contingency and ready to go if it became the point that it was hard to play on, that they were able to swap it out, because that's a quick move. But I give credit to the league and the commissioner for saying, all right, fine, if that's going to be the story, we don't want that to be the story. We want the story to be on the court. We're going to make our change, and they're going back to wood. And no one will slip tonight. There will be no slippage or moisture on the floor this evening.
Social media loved this controversy. They made a lot of hay out of it.
Yeah, they did. And I think that's ultimately why, from a league perspective, it was a good reaction, because you don't want it to continue to overwhelm the play on the court, which, quite frankly, I thought it had in certain parts of social media up to this point. All right, plenty. We'll take your texts on the topic as well. 304-8255-304. What do you think of the floor? Just from a graphic standpoint, I realize you're listening and you didn't get a chance to walk around on it, but what do you think of the graphics involved in it? 304-TALK-304. Bunch of texts coming in already. We'll get to those coming up here in just a bit. Break to take. When we come back, we head down to Charleston. Girls State Tournament underway and continuing. We'll get an update after this on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
WVU Medicine Nephrology is committed to providing advanced kidney care at its primary location in Morgantown's Suncrest Town Center, and also at outreach sites in Buchanan, Clarksburg, Elkins, Fairmont, Flatwoods, Grafton, Kaiser, Moorfield, and Summersville in West Virginia, and Oakland, Maryland. Our expert team of nephrologists use the latest diagnosis and treatment methods. Call 855-WVU-CARE or visit wvumedicine.org/nephrology.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
Golf Week called Pete Dye Golf Club one of America's best modern courses. Golf Digest recently called Pete Dye one of America's 100 greatest courses, and Pete Dye calls it 18 of the most exciting and memorable holes I've ever built on one course. Pete Dye Golf Club invites you to join the only course named after the legendary designer himself. National, corporate, and local memberships available now for a limited time. Visit PeteDye.com to learn more. Come play where the Mountaineers play at Pete Dye Golf Club.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off, or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
It all comes down to this in Charleston. The 2026 West Virginia Boys High School Basketball State Championships presented by Chick-fil-A. Saturday, March 21st. Every possession, every roar of the crowd, every championship moment. Live on Metro News Television, powered by GoMart. Watch on mobile, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, LG TV, and select Samsung Smart TVs. Details at WVMetroNewsTV.com to get in the action.
Welcome back in. Sitting at Statewide Sportsline continues on. Brad and Greg with you. We're in the Health Plan studio. The Health Plan provides health coverage options and has been the most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Your text coming up, 304-8255-304. Also, football recruiting news. A commit for the West Virginia football program came in today. Greg has the breakdown on that. We'll get at all of that coming up here in just a matter of minutes. But first, we head down to the Charleston Coliseum where our own Kyle Wiggs is posted up, getting ready to do a game, and it's in heavy rotation today at the games in the Civic Center. Kyle, good evening. Welcome in.
Thanks, guys. Good evening to you. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. Glad to be back, although I said I wish I was still in Kansas City for a couple more, but what can you do? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to set you up this way. Give us, so far, what have you seen today in terms of the best game of the day was what?
Well, this one's brewing up to be, although GW's made a run here just since I've been on hold. This was a one-point game between George Washington and Parkersburg South, and Jemiah Fryer, who's a State Player of the Year candidate. Obviously, she just went on a personal 5-0 run, scored on a drive, then hit a three, and GW pushed the lead up to 8, and Parkersburg South has just countered. So in this Quad A semifinal round game, it's George Washington 28, Parkersburg South 22, with about 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter, and Parkersburg South with the ball here. So this is shaping up to be a good one. It was a one-possession game just a couple of minutes ago, and Pryor again heating up. She's got 13 of GW's 28 points, and their other outstanding player, Rihanna Breckenridge, was held without a point in the first half, and she's got 5 in the second half. So if Breckenridge and Pryor get going, it looks good for GW here down the stretch. But Parkersburg South, this is a really interesting team because they've got a couple of senior starters, but they also start 3 freshmen, and they've got 4 freshmen among their top 8 players. So they've really surprised people this year in getting to the semifinal round in Quad A.
Hey, Kyle, if there's any chance, I know you're pretty landlocked there and might not be able to move. If you could try and hang up and call us right back, can we try this one more time? It's heavy static from where you are, and again, I know the reception's not good inside the building, so if you can't, maybe just shoot me a text and say you can't, but if you can you hang up and give us a quick call back, and we'll try and check in, because I'd like to hear a little bit more. But he's right, George Washington 28-22 over Parkersburg South right now in the ongoing game at the Charleston Civic Center.
Yeah, semifinal day in Charleston, and championship Saturday, tomorrow, in all 4 classes.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear back from him because we had some other games today. Williamstown beat Wheeling Central 53-42. Greenbrier East advances on 52-37 over Kaiser. And then your alma mater in action coming up a little bit later tonight with Morgantown High playing.
Yeah, they play Parkersburg. Parkersburg Big Red had a incredible overtime victory over University a couple of days ago in their first round game. So 2 teams that split regular season meetings earlier face off in the semifinals in Quad A.
Yeah, I think Kyle's trying to call us back in right now. We'll try and get him here if we get him in the next couple of minutes. Couple texts while we're waiting. Texter says 304-8255-304 says, I've been a West Virginia fan since 1980 It's in my DNA to expect WVU getting ripped off hosting the first 2 rounds of the women's basketball tournament. We understand. Let's try Kyle again from Charleston. Kyle, how are you now? How's it sound?
Is that better?
Better.
Oh, much.
Better, much better. All right, welcome back in.
Since we broke up there, Parkersburg South hit a couple of baskets, so it's 28-24 with 1:25 to go. So, again, this one's brewing. There was a really good game. You asked the best game of the day so far. There was a really good game between Williamstown and Wheeling Central. They are bitter rivals, and Wheeling Central played really well in the first half, was just clinical, and they were cutting Williamstown up and pretty much scoring at will. But then the script flipped in the second half, and Williamstown ended out scoring Wheeling Central 27-6 in the second half. So they rallied from a big deficit. They were 11 points down, and they ended up winning this game today 53-42. So that was a pretty compelling game to watch. Addie Payton of Wheeling Central had 16 points, most of hers coming in the first half, and Williamstown a little bit more balanced scoring. 4 of their 5 starters scored 9 points or more, and they came back to win. So Williamstown advances to the Class AA state championship game, and they'll play James Monroe, who beat Wyoming East today 49-30, and it was the Dunlap sisters there, Maya and Lydia, combined for 24 points. So that sets up James Monroe against Williamstown in the AA state championship game coming up tomorrow.
So, Kyle, you got a couple of other semifinal games later tonight after Park South and GW wrap up here. So what are we looking for there, including the other Quad A semifinal between Parkersburg and Morgantown?
Yeah, again, that should be a very good game because they've met twice. They've split. Morgantown and Parkersburg splitting a couple of games. So, again, teams that know each other very, very well. And both teams played very well in the quarterfinals yesterday, although Parkersburg, again, we've seen a bunch of comebacks in this tournament, and there was a crazy comeback in that one by University. They were down 16 points, rallied all the way back, and a young lady came off the bench, Cheyenne Bischoff, hit her only basket of the game. It was a 3 from the left corner that forced overtime. And then Parkersburg had a young lady that scored her only basket of the game, Amaya Lewis, and it was a drive through the lane in overtime, and that put Parkersburg on top for good. And Parkersburg went on to beat University 71-70. Kennedy Porter yesterday for Parkersburg, she's going to play basketball at Shepherd. She had 24 points and 24 rebounds in that game. So that was Parkersburg's path to the semifinals. Morgantown beat Cabell Midland 56-42, and Sydney Dusenberry, if you follow Morgantown, you know she's a really, really slender, really long athlete that can do a lot of things, and she darn near had a triple-double with 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. So that's the Quad A matchup tonight, Morgantown against Parkersburg. That's the late game. The middle game is the other AAA semifinal. That's the game I've got coming up here in a little bit. Nitro at 19-4 against 17-6 East Fairmont. East Fairmont pulled off an upset as a 7 seed. They knocked off number 2 seed Spring Valley in the quarterfinal round. So East Fairmont's been racked with injuries this year, but they're playing great late. They've made it through to the semifinals, and they'll take on a Nitro team that's looking for its 20th win of the year. And the winner of that contest will play Greenbrier East. Greenbrier East won earlier today in their semifinal round win. They looked really, really good. And, of course, they're the only undefeated team left in the state in any class. They're 25-0. Greenbrier East beat Kaiser today 52-37. Kennedy Stewart had 20 points, and Ava Workman added 15. So I think that sums it up, guys. It's been busy. As you know, it's one game after another down here, and we've got 1.5 remaining tonight, and then all 4 state championship games tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be fun. The Morgantown's a fascinating story there that they're advancing on, Greg, with missing arguably their 3 top players, or 3 of their top players, including Player of the Year candidate and Kaylee Kellogg, all 3 missing. They were led in scoring last night by Carper Messerly, so it was good to see Carper have a big game. Of course, daughter of Brian and April Messerly, 2 WVU athletic employees, so we'll be watching that game tonight. Hey, Kyle, last thing, and we'll let you go. Give us a couple of individual performances that have stood out to you today.
Well, Kennedy Porter. I mean, 24 points, 24 rebounds. And again, I think she'll have an impact immediately at the Division II level. And Kennedy Stewart for Greenbrier East, they were really precision-like today in everything they did. They ran their offense really, really well. The shots that they missed, they hit the offensive glass hard, 13 offensive rebounds, and Kennedy had 3 of those offensive rebounds, and all 3 of them led to stick-back baskets. So Kennedy Porter's played really well so far, and Kennedy Stewart for Greenbrier East has played well. And in this game, a lot of people believe that Jariah Fryer, who's only a junior, is the best player in the state, or at least among the top 2 or 3 players in the state. And she's had an excellent game so far. Her team's in a battle here. It's 31-27 as we head to the fourth quarter. You just heard the buzzer there. But Jariah Fryer in this game so far with 13 of GW's 31 points. So there's a handful of players right there that have stood out to me.
All right, very good. We'll let you run. We know you got the game coming up here in just a bit, so we'll let you go get settled in. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, there is Kyle Wiggs checking in from Charleston. Encourage you, if you're interested in following the girls' high school state tournament, head over to WVMetroNews.com. There's a Tournament Central banner that you can click on that gets you to all of the radio broadcasts, the stats, the bracket, and the stories coming up. And, of course, the championship games will be televised tomorrow on the Metro News TV app. So we encourage you to check those out as well. Break to take. When we come back, football recruiting news. We'll get into that. Miles Sadler exploded on the basketball court today. We'll talk about his big game, and we'll get into your texts on the CityNet statewide Sportsline.
If you have a child who's a junior in high school in West Virginia or know someone that does, please listen up. Here's your opportunity to win a full scholarship from West Virginia Wesleyan College that includes room, board, tuition, and fees. The 19th Annual West Virginia Scholar Program is presented by ZMM Architects and Engineers and the West Virginia Farm Bureau. The deadline is May 3rd. For details, go to WVMetroNews.com to apply. That's WVMetroNews.com. Remember, application deadline is May 3rd.
Getting ghosted is never fun, especially by your network. Cyber threats don't announce themselves. They slip in quietly, disrupt operations, and disappear before you know what happened. CityNet's cybersecurity services provide proactive monitoring, threat detection, and expert response, so your business stays connected and protected. Commit to a relationship built on trust and reliability. Learn more at citynet.net today. And remember, CityNet connects, protects, and perfects.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
When I was heavy, being on my feet all day seemed like torture. It makes you feel defeated. I'm just going to be like this for the rest of my life. But then I thought, I'm done acting like that. I'm not going to be like that anymore. Bariatric surgery at WVU Medicine helped me lose 265 pounds. It's always been my goal to have my own place. I want everyone to feel welcome here. I would never have been able to do all these things before without WVU Medicine.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Download Metro News Television on your iPhone or Android. Search Metro News Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
Touchdown! You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
We're back on the CityNet statewide Sportsline. Brad and Greg with you. Got a couple of games on, Greg. Here, what do we have? What's that overtime? Is that triple overtime it says in the American?
Is it triple? North
Texas 81, Tulsa 80. Tulsa at the line shooting a free throw to tie the game at 81, 3:24 remaining in the overtime session. My eyes might be failing me, but that appears to say triple overtime right there.
I know it's overtime because I saw Tulsa miss his shot at the buzzer.
That's a 3, Greg, right in front of the overtime. I haven't been watching that. Over on the Big Ten, Purdue and Nebraska have just tipped off in that one. Purdue leading 3-0. So we'll keep an eye on those. And, of course, coming up here in about 20 minutes from Kansas City, a doozy, Iowa State and Arizona. We'll come back to basketball here in just a second. Let's switch our attention to football for a minute. Commitment. Recruiting is always open. Always recruiting season. This is a 2027 commitment. And who did West Virginia pick up today?
Well,
He's got some size.
Yeah. Second commitment for the class of 2027 by the Mountaineers. And we're getting into the point now where these are going to start rolling for the next couple of months because, we know recruiting commitments are earlier and earlier than they used to be. And there's a lot of kids coming through for officials and mainly unofficials through spring practice. So you're going to get a lot of kids coming through. And one that came through recently and has announced his commitment to West Virginia is Roscoe Hayes, 6'6", 180-pound wide receiver from Westlake High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Also a good basketball player, but football is his future. With that length and then good athleticism, a lot of very good schools, Kansas State, Pitt, Kentucky, obviously West Virginia, a bunch of others had given him offers, and he ends up committing today to the Mountaineers. 47 catches, team high 47 catches, over 600 yards this past year as a junior at Westlake. So, as you said, he's the second commitment for this class. West Virginia got, a couple of weeks ago, big defensive lineman, stout defensive lineman from Pine Richlands High School, which is a powerhouse right outside of Pittsburgh. So 2 commits so far. You're going to end up with a bunch more. As I said, and those are going to come pretty quickly as we go through this. But like the sounds of Roscoe Hayes, again, with that length and with the other schools that were after him and his apparent athleticism, sounds like a good pickup for the Mountaineers.
You had mentioned when we were talking about this either last week or the week before, I forgot when we got into the football breakdown, you have you're interested to watch the wide receivers this year, aren't you? And listen, I know we can go through every position group here, but that's the one that's probably our least talked about on offense and one that probably has more questions than any other spot, right? We feel like the talent floor has been raised maybe at every other spot. Maybe not even take maybe out of there. The floor's been raised at every other spot. Offensive line, running back, quarterback. Wide receiver is the one that's still the biggest question mark for you?
Yeah, certainly, because it features the most players that have the fewest game experience elsewhere for West Virginia. Now, again, there's guys that have experience, and there are guys that certainly seemingly have a nice resume about them, but most of it's projections. Even the guy that returns that we expect to be really good, Jaden Bray has played very little because of injuries in his 2 previous seasons at West Virginia. We expect him to be very good, but how do we know? DJ Epps, probably the one most proven, though he did it at Troy, so group of 5 level. Was a nice player there last year that, though, didn't play hardly at all his first 3 years. So, and then you've got a bunch of other guys, that are coming through that you think have a chance to be pretty good, but there's not a whole lot of proven quantities or qualities among them. The offensive line, as they rebuild that, we talked about it. West Virginia brought in 5 transfers who all were starters at previous Division I levels, right? So you think that should be pretty good. You got a couple coming back that were starters in there. Running back starters, at least in Cam Cook, who was obviously the nation's leading rusher last year. Quarterback, there are a couple of guys that have started college games at that position. So, you feel pretty good. I mean, offensively, you could go to the defense, and there are a few that maybe have a little bit more questions than all those on offense, but still, mostly you're filling in with guys who've played a lot of college football if they're transfers elsewhere. Some of them are JUCO guys, but they've played. You can't say that as much at the wide receiver level.
It's amazing you mentioned Jaden Bray, because when you say Jaden Bray, you're absolutely right. Missed 2 seasons now because of injuries, but when you say Bray, the last thing I remember tangible evidence of we had was that practice in August, right before the season 2 seasons ago. Remember when he went off in practice?
Yeah.
We had multiple people coming back saying, my God, it was like Randy Moss out there. Like he was unguardable for a practice session. Now, maybe some of that was an indictment on the defensive backs, but Bray was making plays, and we've seen him do it at this level at Oklahoma State. So it's a guy you've been excited about, and you were excited about again last year, and just hasn't been able to get away from the injury bug. So you're right, anxious to see him. Hope he's able to suit up in a Mountaineer uniform and be productive, because we've been waiting a long time since that practice that he dominated.
Yeah, I mean, needs to be productive and healthy. If you can start there, then you've got other pieces that you can fill in around him. But again, that's a question. Now, you tell me that wide receivers aren't going to matter because you're going to run the ball 99% of the time.
Run it. Get back to the old days when we just yell across the line of scrimmage, hey, we're running it right here. Can you do anything about this? We're going to run it. No, that will be interesting to watch. Obviously, the more dual threats you can be, the better you are. And especially in this league, it's going to be hard to just cram it down everybody's throat. It will be a run-first team, as we know. That's no secret. But you're going to have some receivers here that emerge. And it could be tight ends too, but you're going to have some outside threats to be able to back some of that defense off and stretch it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, as good as West Virginia was running the football in the first Rich Rodriguez era, you still had Darius Renaud. You had Chris Henry.
Yeah.
You had some major threats at wide receiver, 2 guys that played in the NFL. But, so it does take that. It can't be completely devoid of pass catchers and big play guys.
You don't need to run out 4 wide with 4 NFL guys, but you do have to have a couple that are dynamic enough that you at least have to match up with them. All right, bunch of texts coming in. We'll get to those coming up next. I promise we'll get to the Miles Sadler game information from today because he had a big one, and you'll want to hear about this. We'll get into it coming up next on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline, back after these commercials.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
At the Health Plan, we are here for you, and we have been one of the most trusted carriers for over 40 years. Headquartered right here in West Virginia, providing exceptional health coverage and local customer service.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Golf Week called Pete Dye Golf Club one of America's best modern courses. Golf Digest recently called Pete Dye one of America's 100 greatest courses, and Pete Dye calls it 18 of the most exciting and memorable holes I've ever built on one course. Pete Dye Golf Club invites you to join the only course named after the legendary designer himself. National, corporate, and local memberships available now for a limited time. Visit PeteDye.com to learn more. Come play where the Mountaineers play at Pete Dye Golf Club.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Hardwood Heat meets the Mountain State in Charleston. The 2026 West Virginia Girls High School Basketball State Championships, presented by Chick-fil-A. Saturday, March 14th. Every possession, every roar of the crowd, every championship moment live on Metro News Television, powered by GoMart. Watch on mobile, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, LG TV, and select Samsung Smart TVs. Details at WVMetroNewsTV.com to get in the action. The conversation starts long before the game.
He doesn't do this to other guests, but every time I'm on here, he creates distractions.
Disrespectful.
With his phone. I mean,
I have to have the phone on in case Pete Thamel breaks another story.
Join Tony Carini, Brad Howe, and Hoppy Kercheval for 3 Guys Before the Game. Metro News Television, available on mobile, Roku, Fire TV, Smart TVs, and online at WVMetroNews.com.
On the next State of Minds.
I came here to Morgantown, the WVU. I wanted to play football. Tried to walk on, but I was humbled very quickly. So I joined the WVU forestry team. what my father taught me was the importance of hard work and the importance of sweat equity.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
Final segment sitting at Statewide Sportsline. I shouldn't have done it, Hunter. I went in and started looking at net rankings. Now I'm all
you got you all
fired up.
By the way, this North Texas Tulsa game is in triple overtime. So
it's a good one. Tulsa up 86-84, 30 seconds remaining running clock, triple overtime. Tulsa with the ball going against North Texas in an American Conference quarterfinal game. Purdue up 15-8 on Nebraska in the Big Ten. Couple texts. Texter says, this is Mark from Randolph County. After seeing the West Virginia basketball team, what will be the next move to improve the team player-wise? Center, guard, forward, if no one leaves this year. Thanks, Mark, from Elkins. All of it. I mean, you're going to have to replace pretty much everybody, if not everybody, on this roster. So you're going to need all of that.
Give me your priorities, though, because you can get into the Miles Sadler story a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pulling that up
right now. So West Virginia has signed 3 players that are going to be freshmen next year. All 3 look pretty good. 2 guards and a big. We never know how many come back. 7 scholarship players have eligibility to return. Again, you never know how many of those will return. You lose your top 6, at least your top 5 or your 5 starters, and then Chance Moore first off the bench. So, what is it? How good is Sadler? Start right away, and what else do you need above and beyond what you've already sort of locked in?
Sadler's got every accolade you could possibly want, starting with the 5-star, denoted as a 5-star, which, again, for whatever that's worth. And those stars we've seen great players that don't have the stars, but starts as a 5-star kid. A lot of people say he's one of the top 1, 2, 3 point guards in America. He was just named the prestigious EYBL National Player of the Year, Greg. That is massive. I went to Cooper Flag 2 years ago. I mean, this isn't just a nice little regional award here for Miles.
It's not all county.
This is a big boy. Acuff from Arkansas won it last year, was the SEC Player of the Year this year. I mean, that is some big-time company that he's in. He went out today, Greg, and put 34 on Montverde, one of the best teams in America.
Yeah.
And they'll have 8 or 9 Division I players on it. And there's if you go to my Twitter handle, @BradHowe07, I retweeted the package of highlights that the league put out, or a group put out about him. And the very first highlight, Greg, he crosses a dude over, goes into the lane, goes up over a big, and doesn't lay it in, dunks it, hammers it home. He's shooting from 3. He was just outstanding and has been all year, and talked to multiple people around the Big 12 that follow this stuff, including Fran Fraschilla. He came up to Tony and I before the game on Provoked and just said, guys, you are getting a flat-out stud next year in Miles Sadler. We know Fran follows the recruiting pretty closely. It's just people rave about him and his ability to control the game. He can dribble, he can penetrate, he can cross you over, he can step back and hit shots. A 40% three-point shooter this year. So he looks to be the real deal. We'll know when he arrives here on campus. And you mentioned the other guard, Kingston Whitty, a 4-star, 6'4"-ish, can really handle. He's been blowing up this season. That was a Ross thought when they signed him that was an under the radar, like that was one that people are going to look back and go, oh, you might have got a steal in that one. It's appearing that that's the case. And then 6'10", Alou Diem, who's on this same team as Miles Sadler. He did not play today. He has a little ankle injury, so he did not play in that game today. But 6'10" athlete that can move, works his butt off in the gym, and is anxious to get here to Morgantown. So your freshman class, just those 3, if it stops right there, that's a really good freshman class. And then obviously you'll be active in the portal once you come to a determination on who's able to return from this year's particular squad.
So I know they're going to need more than 3 transfers, but give me your top 3 positions from the transfer portal.
Truly all of it. I mean, all of it. You're going to have a shooting guard. You need some wing shooters. You'd ideally like a big wing that can attack. You're going to need another big in the middle because I would assume you'd want DM to come in and be your secondary guy at the post. Can also drop down to a 4 if you want to play big, but you'll want some experience in there. So you're going to need all of that. And then it just starts to depend on who's back. Does DJ Thomas return for you? If he does, that gives you an experienced guy at the 4 that you figure will take a big leap forward. Obviously, Amir Jenkins is a guy you'd prefer to return rather than not. Does Jackson Fields come back? That's probably an under-discussed player on this year's team. You know, I know most people didn't get to see him very much because he was injured for so long, so he didn't have the impact. That's a really talented athlete right there that gave you some size. I think he was missed sorely this year for this West Virginia team. So what's his status moving forward? But I think basically, Greg, you have to have it all. You need to have everybody. Even if Sadler becomes a plug-and-play point guard, you still need all those other guys in positions around him and some really talented wings too.
Understand. And like I said, the more you can retain, the better, right? And we know in today's world, you're not retaining everybody, but you got 3-4 in there that, boy, I think it'd be really important if you can retain them.
Texter says, I'm still trying to figure out this men's basketball team. Seems to be the most unpredictable and inconsistent team that I can remember. That might be a little bit strong. Just look at some of the scores, and that will tell it all. Didn't know what to expect, Fred and Clarksburg. Yeah, there were some losses that you'd love to have back, no doubt. I mean, Utah and Kansas State will stick for a long time. The Clemson loss, the Ohio State loss are 2 games against NCAA tournament teams that turned out to have great seasons that you dominate. I mean, you led for 37 minutes of each of those games in regulation. Those could have been wins. So I get the what could have been nature of this team. It was on the precipice of not only just making the NCAA tournament, but being a solid NCAA tournament team. But I go back to, I think given where this program has been, not just in the last 4, but if you go back a couple of years before that, how much this program had struggled outside of 1 year, this pretty remarkable to get where you got to with that many close calls in games, given you hired the coach. This time last year, we were still, 3 weeks away from having a coach?
Well, you still thought you thought
you
Darren DeVries was coming.
Yeah, you still
was
had
saying
Darren.
coming back.
It's a good point. So you're still a ways away. They come in and they basically then started practice in June. So you're talking about a 2.5 month cycle to redo the entire roster and bring in every single new player and construct it in a way. That's the thing that I think was overlooked this year. Constructed in a way that fit really well. They weren't just scrambling, taking guys and throwing them in to fill roster spots. There was a plan that was put in place that was executed to basically within a game or so of an NCAA tournament level. And you did it in 2.5 months. Now you've got some guys that you've seen play you hope to retain. And if not, you've been looking in the transfer portal for the last year. You've had guys evaluating everybody in college basketball over the last year. What's this sound like? Exactly what we talked about with Rich, right?
Yep.
Where you came in and you had 2 months to try and put together a whole roster. And I know that was a lot more in terms of volume and numbers, but that you maybe didn't have the talent where you wanted it. But you redid it in year 2. And what did we just say about the offensive side? Feel you've upgraded it significantly. I think given what this recruiting class looks like and the high-level nature of what you've signed, I have a lot of confidence in this entire staff to be able to go out and get the talent in here you needed. And I have 0 questions about the coaching acumen and the ability to X and O. As I've talked about many times this year, I know you got to know what you're looking at, but if you know what you're looking at here, these guys know what they're doing X and O-wise and did so to a really high level in many games this season.
Yeah. I mean, now it's about going out and getting talent. And again, it looks like the freshman group certainly has it. Keep a few of the returners returning. And then obviously it's always important in today's world to go out and mix in the proper transfers, not just the most high level. I mean, we've seen that within the Big 12. No offense against P.J. Haggerty, but Kansas State spent a lot of money to get a really high-profile transfer. All it did was get their coach fired.
A lot. Same with Cincinnati. I mean, they just assembled some talent and overpaid for some guys, and it led to their coach getting fired this year. So you've got to put the thing together with a team in mind. You can't just go out and assemble talent and slap it in. We've seen that. We've seen it many times. It does not work. So You've got to get out there. This staff will. Now, I am interested to see if this group continues on. I mean, selfishly, I'd like to watch this team play a couple more games. If that becomes the crown here in a couple weeks, I'd love to see it. You know me. I want to keep basketball season going as long as we can. So give me more games. I'm all for it, but I'm also really excited where the future is with this program. But I think I will say again, I'm not sure how the narrative got out there between a small segment of folks that this was not, that Ross Hodge and company did not have a really good first year. I totally disagree with that assessment and saw a lot to be excited about as we move forward.
The only problem with the Crown is it's so long before they play.
It is. It's wild.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't like that.
I get why they're doing it. There's so much basketball coming up when the NCAA tournament begins and the NITs rolling. They're trying to get some separation there and rolling it in around Final Four weekend so you can get, one, some TV clearances, but two, as you get basketball fans, it rolls right into each other. But that is a challenge for 3 weeks from now. It does feel like it's bowl game-esque.
Yeah.
Right? What do we talk about bowl games sometimes? That gap between the end of the regular season and your next game feels like it's a long way away. But that'll still be determined. We'll see what happens. This season, not done yet for the Big 12. Those two big games coming up here in just a matter of minutes. Iowa State, Arizona, getting ready to clip off. All right, I gave you my thoughts. I was just going to say, what do you want? Give me Arizona in that one tonight.
Yeah, I think Arizona, and even though Kansas has got a pseudo home game, I think Houston is really good. I can't imagine it won't be Arizona-Houston.
Yeah,
I can imagine, but I would pick those two.
I'll be interested to see how Peterson does tonight. Played 37 minutes last night. That obviously makes a difference. Iowa State, listen, they're very good. I won't be stunned if they find a way to get Arizona in front of what will be 90% Cyclone fans in that building. But give me Arizona and Houston to move on. I'll go on a limb. I'll take I'll take Arizona to win it.
Okay. I'll go the other way.
You got Houston?
Yep.
Very good. Enjoy the games this weekend. Back with you on Sunday. Plenty more to talk about.
Selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday is here. We'll break it all down coming up Sunday at 6. Thanks for all the texts. We do appreciate them. We'll talk to you soon. See you.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the Metro News Radio Network. All rights reserved.